without any further delay, although it's so much fun to delay, and particularly when it's Michael Snyder. He really endures the delay so well.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
Please welcome him on his birthday. It doesn't matter what big movie, small movie, streaming film, television is offered, the Culture Blaster reviews it with the same objectivity and depth that he does all others. He comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for the great Michael Snyder? Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you. You've had your castor oil, and now it's time for a croissant with a little bit of marmalade, with a little bit of confiture. You know, it is my birthday. All I want for my birthday is an exhaustive forensic swing state recount, a Niners Super Bowl win, and a couple pairs of socks. But I will accept every one of Trumpy's nominees being shot down. That would be okay. A Niners victory over the Packers on Sunday, and socks, of course.
Trevor Starr in Hollywood says, happy birthday, Michael Snyder. Hope this year brings you countless Mark Thompson time wasters.
Boy,
yeah.
Haven't we had enough?
Luis says, happy birthday to the Culture Blaster.
What a bounty.
Viva la vida, my friend, he says.
Absolutely. You you have said this earlier. Next week, I will be in on Wednesday, and then it'll be followed by a holiday horror double feature, Dark Thanksgiving and Black Friday, starring Mark Thompson and the crew. Nobody will be here streaming at that point. But before we get to our reviews, one more quick note. I'm pretty pleased that the Senate shut the gates on Farhead McPedo as Attorney General, but now we have to deal with Pam Toady, and then there's Dr. Oz. And speaking of Oz, here's my segue. Wicked has opened. That's right.
How about that?
You know, Hollywood loves a road-tested vehicle, so to speak, meaning a previously successful narrative property that can be adapted, remade, repurposed, sequelized, or prequelized. As far as the suits are concerned, it's a low-risk, high-reward situation. Even if such a project goes into production and the budget swells to massive proportions, like I think it did here, Universal had to be all in for Wicked, which is the studio's movie version of the successful musical of the same name that was an adaptation of a book that was a prequel to the beloved L. Frank Baum fantasy novel, The Wizard of Oz, which, of course, was turned into one of the most enduring movie musicals of all time. Geez, I wonder if this story will work. Anyway, you remember the original film musical, the one with all those classic songs such as Ding Dong the Witches, Smushed by Dorothy Gale's Farmhouse, Don't Eat the Yellow Brick Snow, and of course, I'm Over the Rainbow that I come and go on. That's my favorite of all of them. Anyway, Wicked tells the story of how prissy, pink-obsessed blonde Galinda, who became Glinda, the Good Witch of Oz, met and became frenemies, then friends with green-skinned, black-clad Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, when they were at the Land of Oz's premier bastion of higher education, Shiz University. Well, what does that even mean, Shiz?
I don't know.
Anyway, also how they eventually ended up as the famous adversaries of The Wizard of Oz. The original Broadway production reinforced the musical comedy bona fides and star power of Kristen Chenoweth, who played Galinda, and Idina Menzel, you know, Adele Dazeem herself.
Yeah, Adele Dazeem, sure.
Who played Elphaba. As for the movie version, the casting people deserve major kudos for securing the mega-cute pop superstar Ariana Grande as Galinda and the versatile Tony-winning actress and roof-raising singer Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. Dude, Erivo seems like a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination. This is...
Wow.
Massively powerful. Anyway, the rest of the most significant players are pretty damn good, too. How about Michelle Yeoh as Elphaba's magic mentor at Shiz U, Madame Morrible, or Jeff Goldblum in full amoral mode as the manipulative Wizard of Oz himself, straight on the heels of him playing Zeus in that wonderful Netflix series Chaos. Jonathan Bailey is here as pretty boy love interest Prince Fiero. It should be noted that the movie is populated by a relentlessly inclusive cast. It is a veritable rainbow connection. I can already hear the dissenters, go woke, go broke. No, they're not going to go broke with this thing.
Veritable is a ding word. Go ahead,
Elphaba's non-green sister is differently abled, if you will.
I see.
As in a wheelchair. Bowen Yang, who I gotta say has shown very little range over the course of his TV and film work, plays the gay Asian member of Glinda's popular clique. What a stretch for Bowen. That's what I call a stretch. With all this diversity, there didn't seem to be any little people portraying the Munchkins, just short people. On the other hand, Peter Dinklage voices a goat who was a venerable professor at Shiz U and gives a very moving voice performance. And there are a lot of monkeys, flying and otherwise. Okay, is Wicked the movie any good?
Venerable is a ding word. Yeah.
It's a little bloated at 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it sometimes feels it. The script by Winnie...
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes?
40 minutes long.
Oh, my God.
Wait. The script by Winnie Halsman and Dana Fox ranges from sharp to perfunctory, but this movie looks spectacular. To put it bluntly, the art direction and costuming are stunning and should clean up at the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs. While the story keeps focus on the core relationship between Glinda and Elphaba, director John M. Chu, the guy who directed Crazy Rich Asians and the movie musical of In the Heights, he doesn't stint on the epic sweep of the fantasy, and he managed to hold my attention despite the length. And a lot of that can be credited to the skill and charisma displayed by Grande and Arrivo. For the record, none of the famous Wizard of Oz songs are used in Wicked, which is okay because the latter has at least two serious showstoppers. Glinda Ariana's Popular and Elphaba Cynthia's Climactic Defying Gravity.
So just to be clear, you're saying none of the original songs from the original movie,
Wizard of Oz movie,
but
yes.
Wicked, the Wicked songs
Absolutely,
are all there.
Absolutely. Oh, did I mention that it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long?
I mean, are you going to get kids to sit through 2 hours and 40 minutes?
I did mention it, but I didn't say that it's just part one with a to be continued tag. And
Are you essing me?
I am
That's
not.
crazy.
And part two won't be released until November 21st of next year. Seriously.
Wow.
In the meantime, Universal's pulled out all the promotional stops with a hankering to kind of generate a Barbie-style phenomenon. I guess we're going to see how the dolls and Happy Meals sell and how it does at the box office. Regardless of my caveats, I expect big numbers. Yeah, I was sort of won over by the sheer...
Yeah, look at you. Your heart, like the Grinch's, has now swelled 3 times its size.
It was great. I
not
loved it.
really. That sounds like something that I have to talk to my cardiologist about. But no, it's in theaters.
Dinklage is not a ding word, Phineas. No. But you really have been swept up in wickedness. I'm really surprised.
I was swept up, but I have issues. It's overstuffed, it's very long, and it's only the first half of the story.
Right. But I mean, it must be a good story for a two-parter, says Calvin. Yeah.
Well,
I don't. What is left? What's left? Is there a cliffhanger? Just tell us
there
that.
is a cliffhanger because there is a sea change in the relationship between the now Glinda and Elphaba. And I want to be clear about this. It is ending where the intermission in the play is. So it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's literally the first half of the stage play.
Did you see the play?
I did not, but I also want to point out that there are things that are expanded upon that I think visually for a movie are good. The very beginning of the play, as I understand it, begins with the death of the Wicked Witch of the West and the celebration in Munchkinland. And Glinda shows up as she does in the movie.
Right.
And a Munchkin asks her, "Did you know the Wicked Witch?" And that spins the story. In the movie, we actually see the aftermath of Dorothy tossing water. So there's a visual kind of delivery of what happens in The Wizard of Oz with the death of the Wicked Witch. And it's beautifully visualized, but it also expands the length of the story by doing things like that, by lingering over some of these magnificent CGI vistas that they're beautiful. And there's a lot of practical stuff here, steampunky, bursting with color. You know, I had issues. Yeah, I had issues.
Is it going to make me cry, Michael?
I don't think so.
But,
You know,
are there no weepy moments?
there was a moment for me, and I don't want to spoil it, but two actors show up. You can kind of guess who they are, and I went like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Anyway, let's move on.
Can we move on? That's wicked.
It is. Speaking of intellectual property that passes the proof of concept test, director Ridley Scott has returned to the scene of his Academy Award-winning year 2000 epic Gladiator.
Now, I hope this is 2 hours and 40 minutes because I love this Gladiator.
Well, we're back in ancient Rome, or a hyperbolic widescreen version of ancient Rome.
Hyperbolic.
The result of this return, creatively dubbed Gladiator 2, of course, with a Roman numeral 2, is well-crafted silliness. I mean, a sword and sandals sequel that turns up the heat from its predecessor, continuing the story years after Gladiator star Russell Crowe's warrior character Maximus meets his noble end, but jacking up the action and computer-generated battles in the arena and beyond. There is a lot of computer-generated beasties that they have to fight off. And whatever.
Wow. By the way, let me just give you a little credit on your birthday.
Yeah.
Sword and Sandal sequel.
Yeah, well.
Very strong. I really, you're a writer. You're a writer.
Yeah, dude, what can I tell you?
All right, go ahead.
This stuff just kind of pops out.
So they're fighting a lot of these big creatures.
CGI creatures,
Yeah.
and they're fighting one another in the Colosseum.
Sure.
So how do we get there? Rising star and award season favorite Paul Mescal plays the central role of Lucius, who has a connection to Maximus, the Russell Crowe character, and who was exiled as a boy to North Africa, where he grew into a Maximus-style warrior.
I see.
Now his chosen home is being invaded and annexed by the Roman Empire, and in short order, Lucius is rounded up, brought to Rome, and forced to fight in the Colosseum for his honor. And, presumably...
Doesn't he get any land back, or does he...
Well, I think he wants to
Just
restore
his
the
honor?
glory of Rome. I don't know what he wants.
All right,
He wants
whatever.
honors. Anyway... Rome has been kind of undermined by its current corrupt, perverse rulers, whacked out twin emperors. Although Gladiator 2 left Crowe's Maximus character in the cinematic and chronological past, Connie Nielsen's Lucilla from the first movie, daughter of the late Emperor Marcus Aurelius and Maximus's lover, is back, as is Derek Jacobi's elderly Senator Gracchus, an ally to Maximus and Lucilla, and a keeper of secrets. Plus, you get a swaggering Denzel Washington as a powerful former slave who mentors Lucius as one of his gladiator troops, and meanwhile is jockeying for control of Rome. He wants to be the power behind the throne. So Washington he dominates every scene he's in. Furthermore, you get Pedro Pascal as a Roman general in a relationship with Lucilla that will bring him into conflict with Lucius, and Joseph Quinn, who coincidentally is Pedro Pascal's co-star in the upcoming Marvel Fantastic Four film, plays one of the twisted co-emperors of Rome. So solid cast. Now, a lot of these characters are based on historical figures, but I do not vouch for the veracity of the portrayals. There's some pretty over-the-top stuff going on here. There is a lot of sound and fury and not that much substance. I will just say that I enjoyed my encounter with Gladiator 2 while I was there in the middle of it, but I didn't respect it when it was over. Very much like some relationships I was in. Anyway, Gladiator 2 is in theaters. If this is your thing, you'll enjoy it, but it's not earth-shaking, and it's not up to the first film.
How long is it, Michael? Roughly 2 hours?
2 hours and 28 minutes, my brother.
Thank you.
10 minutes shorter than part one of Wicked for those keeping score.
What else do you have for us?
Well, I had the fortune to see Blitz. Finally, it opened in theaters a week or so ago, and I didn't have an opportunity to review it, but it dropped today, I believe, on Apple TV.
Yeah.
And it is the work of the decorated screenwriter and director Steve McQueen, not the actor. This is a black British guy, Steve McQueen. And this is about a young boy, a 9-year-old, during World War II, who lives in London with his mom and his grandfather. He is of mixed race. The kid, George, is played by a wonderful child actor named Elliot Heffernan. And mom, Rita, is played by Saoirse Ronan, who never gives a bad performance. She's one of our jewels in terms of young actresses on their way to eternity. Anyway, she follows the dictates of the government and prepares to send him to the countryside for his safety while staying behind and working for the war effort at a factory. But George does not want to be separated from his mother. I mean, his father is already not in the picture. And Grandpa, Gerald, who in an amazing piece of casting, is played by the Jam's Paul Weller, the great new wave singer, songwriter, guitarist Paul Weller, who is showing his age, but is quite believable as Grandpa Gerald. He's not crazy about the kid going away either. They live in East London. So this is all about young George's attempt to get back to his mom, also about how things are on the home front in the middle of the horrific blitzkrieg, the blitz that decimated parts of London and endangered lives everywhere, forcing people to hide out in the subways and underground stations. And, it's powerful in that regard. The episodes of the movie and the journey that George takes carry you along. It's beautifully rendered. I thought it was excellent. And I thought it's available.
Now, let me just understand something from a plot standpoint. So, George, she has to give him up because it's getting too dangerous?
She sends him away as children were sent away during the Blitz.
Sure, of course.
Into the countryside where they would be safe, where the Germans were not bombing.
Right.
But George doesn't want to be separated from her, and halfway on his way to wherever in the countryside, he jumps off the train.
Okay.
And this is all about his journey back and also about what she's dealing with back home as this war has changed everyone's lives in London and made it unsafe. And
you really liked it.
I thought it was really well done.
Wow, I love that. I love it when you love it.
I did, and here's something I was favorably disposed toward as well. While Denzel Washington was busy swinging his big sword and flinging highfalutin epithets in Gladiator 2, his sons, actor John David Washington and director-screenwriter Malcolm Washington, were up to something far more intriguing, a well-wrought adaptation of playwright August Wilson's award-winning family drama with a touch of religious fervor and supernatural hijinks, The Piano Lesson. It is very theatrical, with John David Washington's lead performance as the canny, striving boy Willie Charles.
Now, what does that mean, very theatrical?
Because it's a broad role and it's played in broad terms. He's on screen, and it's a different kind of acting, and he takes it to the sort of boldness of a live performance.
I see.
So at times, it's a little jarring, but basically the story is it's the mid-30s, people are coming out of the Great Depression, and there's been a black migration north out of the slave states, and the Charles family is kind of broken up, and Doker Charles has a house in Pittsburgh. He's played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he has his niece, who is the sister of Boy Willie, and she's played in beautiful form by Danielle Deadweiler, Bernice, and Bernice has her daughter, and they're living with Doker, and suddenly who shows up but bad boy Willie and his best buddy Lyman, played by Ray Fisher, and they are up in Pittsburgh with a truck full of watermelons that they're selling to generate money because Boy Willie wants to take over the property back home that was once the province of a white bad man, a white guy who was not particularly kind to the black locals, and apparently fell down a well and died, as did so many other kind of rather nasty white people in the community. So is there something afoot? Are local black people getting revenge? Boy Willie says it's a ghost of some sort that's actually visiting death upon these bad people, and he wants to accumulate as much money as possible and buy that land. And the way he thinks he can do it is by taking the piano, the heirloom piano that's been in their family for a number of years, and selling it, and then I'll have enough money along with the sale of the watermelons and such to purchase this land and take it over from this bad person who has died. But kind of the spirit of that guy has lingered in their hearts and minds, and things get kind of freaky deaky. I thought this was pretty damn good.
Wow.
And the heirloom piano becomes sort of the MacGuffin that they're all kind of.
Well, there's something
tussling
burning
over.
in the, it looks like a piano in the field here in the picture that I'm looking at.
Well, that's what we call symbolism, Mark.
I see. Symbolism, of course. I've heard about it.
Anyway, it's been called by some as Southern Gothic, and it's hyped up, and I didn't think it was as good a film as Blitz, but I thought it was pretty damn good, and it's on Netflix, man.
Such a good play, Murphy says. And sounds like a stolen script, says Juan.
Stolen script. Well, not really. It's an
There's some
adaptation.
themes. Yeah, there's some themes that are running through it.
But no, August Wilson has written a number of plays in what they call his Pittsburgh plays, and this is the penultimate one, maybe. I don't know. Erykah Badu does a brief stint as a singer in here, so you get a little music. Erykah Badu. She's wonderful. Yeah. Quickly, just to wrap things up,
yes, please.
2 more things on Netflix. One is called Joy, and it's based on a true story, really a true story. It's the backstory behind the birth of the first test tube baby. In other words, the origins of in vitro fertilization. And no, your king maggot, Donny Boy, did not create IVF, despite what he said in one of his patented rants on the campaign trail this year. So Joy has a few tedious moments that reflect the painstaking and fruitless years of lab work that preceded the ultimate breakthrough. But the 3 main actors in this movie, who are, by the way, first rate, and they would be the great Bill Nighy, the great British character actor and character lead, playing Patrick Steptoe, a researcher and surgeon. James Norton, also a scientific guy. Robert Edwards is his role. And the very talented young Thompson Mackenzie, who was so good in Last Night in Soho. She plays Jean Purdy, their assistant, who becomes very deeply involved in caring for the women who are trying to realize their dream of giving birth. The actors are so good, it's not too tough to tag along with them during their research and watch their relationships with one another and with the childless women who sought their help, and the latter relationships quite poignant at times. It's instructive. It's pretty, it gets dry at times, but again, you're carried along by the performances. Joy, again, available on Netflix.
All right.
And directed by Ben Taylor and written by Jack Thorne and based on true stuff. And I will just say, in brief, Spellbound, which is a new animated feature also on Netflix, and Something Good for the Kids, didn't really knock me out. It's not the classic 1945 Alfred Hitchcock psychodrama of the same name, but it's an animated feature from Skydance that's getting its direct-to-Netflix premiere. And the pedigrees on display are impressive, and the message is honorable, but the result is kind of pedestrian. Oh, the talent. First off, the director, Vicky Jensen, was the co-director of Shrek. One of the producers is former Pixar head John Lasseter, kind of disgraced in the Me Too aftermath, but he's on board here. And here's the cast. The lead, Princess Elian, a young girl who's dealing with the fact that her parents, the king and queen of their kingdom, have turned into monsters, is voiced by Rachel Zegler, one of the stars of West Side Story, Spielberg's West Side Story. Jennifer Lewis plays one of her advisors. Believe it or not, John Lithgow is the other advisor and a comic treasure. And Mom and Dad are voiced by Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman, and the songs are by Alan Menken of Disney's.
Wow, there's a lot of
Beauty
good
and the
pedigree
Beast.
there.
Yeah, but it's just not great.
Doesn't hang together. Michael says, Spellbound, the kids offering for Netflix, great pedigree, amazing people involved, but it just doesn't all come together to make it on the 10 scale, but not bad. But he doesn't hate it. But
Not-
he just
not
thinks it
great.
Didn't, yeah. Joy, which is also on Netflix, based on a true story, the backstory of the test tube baby, the birth of IVF. Bill Nighy, no, it is not Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill Nighy, the brilliant British character actor, stars beside James Norton and Thompson Mackenzie. Yes, Michael says it's a winner. Joy on Netflix, based on a true story.
It's good.
Yeah. The Piano Lesson, the John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington, offering. 1930s America. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Danielle Detweiler. Ray Fisher. The piano is to be sold for the purchase of the land as this family tries to claw back what was taken from them.
Well, yeah, boy, Willie does. Mom is the mother. His sister is perfectly content to stay with her piano in Pittsburgh. There is conflict.
So Boy Willie wants to claw it back. All right. The Piano Lesson is in theaters. Blitz is the Saoirse Ronan offering. Paul Weller's in it in kind of an odd casting decision.
He's grandfather.
Yeah. George's efforts to get back to his mom amidst the blitzkrieg.
Right.
It's all there. He likes it a lot.
Very much. And it's on Apple TV. And by the way, The Piano Lesson is on Netflix. 3 Netflix movies that you can access.
Great. Yeah, Spellbound, Joy, and The Piano Lesson. Didn't realize it was on Netflix. Thank you. And Blitz is on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Gladiator 2. I couldn't get enough of Gladiator 1. Bring me a Gladiator 2, I screamed as I left the theater. I remember clearly.
It's okay.
I love that. Ridley Scott.
It's
the
okay.
massive brilliance of ancient Rome.
Well, yeah.
This one, Michael said, is there's a lot here. There's a lot of character-generated stuff, some good action sequences.
It's entertaining,
yeah,
but it's not greatness.
Grab your popcorn, but don't expect it to be like Gladiator 1.
No, it's not as good as Gladiator 1.
And finally, and firstly, we started with Wicked. Wicked, the reimagined story that's based on the wildly successful stage show. Wicked, the stage show, which was based on the wildly successful book, and the book, which was based on the wildly successful movie, which was based on the wildly successful Frank L.
You
Baum
actually nailed that. You didn't remember that The Piano
thank
Lesson
you.
is on Netflix, but
Thank
you got.
Thank you.
Bravo.
For your
Bravo.
birthday, I like to step up in one instance.
I appreciate it.
He said it's overstuffed, 2 hours and 40 minutes, but there's a lot here. And if you're, a Wickeder, and if you're, you like the music and terrific depictions of scenery enhanced by computer graphics, obviously, and animation, it's pretty spectacular. It's just that it's long and it's not the whole story.
It's only half the story, but oh my God, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are absolutely wonderful. They are a reason to watch this thing.
You have really served it up on your birthday, Culture Blaster.
Well, thank you, Mark.
I want to encourage everyone to read the Culture Blaster at thevoicesf.org. If you think you like Michael Snyder here, you will adore him in his written word. He writes like the Shakespeare of his generation.
Please spare me.
When it comes to culture. How dare you interrupt me when I'm trying to pay you a compliment?
I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Can you let him finish, sir?
It's like
So the
foo-fra.
point I'm trying to make is you should regale yourself and immerse yourself in the magic of Michael Snyder on his birthday. TheVoiceSF.org. Michael, closing comments on your birthday?
I want to thank the audience who's been so wonderful to check in with us. And I look forward to next Wednesday when we look at the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, you'll be here
slate
Wednesday instead of Friday because we won't have any show Friday. So it'll be Wednesday that Michael will join us, and he will come and go as he does today on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Go 49ers and Dubs.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.